And now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. Jay Ash serves as the Secretary of Housing and Economic Development for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Was that you? No, Secretary Ash is responsible for directing and executing Governor Charlie Baker's agenda on housing and community development, job creation, business development, consumer affairs, and business regulation. Since joining the Baker-Polito administration, Secretary Ash has prioritized efforts to grow jobs, help communities realize their economic development priorities, connect citizens to new economic opportunities, and build prosperity across Massachusetts. Secretary Ash, we're thrilled to have you here at Greenfield Community College.
Okay, I have some grievances. Number one, I have been kidnapped today. You're all looking at me. Why isn't he wearing a jacket? Rich, could I borrow your jacket? Why isn't he wearing? Mayor Martin has kidnapped me. We went on a trolley tour of Greenfield, seeing all kinds of wonderful things that are happening. And much to my surprise, we did not return to my car first. So Mayor Martin has delivered me here on time, but without a jacket, and unfortunately for all of you, without a speech. Julie Cohen, who has heard my jokes 1,000 times from Mass Development, is now applauding that she is not going to hear them 1,001 times. Gary, this is going to be your biggest challenge ever on the audio side, making me sound smart without my speech. So I was going to report my kidnapping to the local PD, but as it turns out, Chief Hague is a conspirator. He was on that bus as well and kidnapped me. So I am here without a jacket, without a speech, but I did have a grievance. The last time I was here, you all gave me this wonderful, wonderful Yankee candle that I was so excited to take home and re-gift. Claire Higgins was not here, so I know she wasn't the culprit, but one of you decided that you were going to help yourself to my re-gift. And so the Yankee candle never made it home. I want to know who did it. I want to know now. Chief, lie detector to each one of them. I am also have another grievance. I do not remember, Mr. President, approving your retirement. I have had the great pleasure to work with Bob and have been so excited about your leadership out here. And I know I share with everybody in the room both a joy that you are moving on to your next chapter of your life and happily doing so, but a sadness that you're moving on to your next chapter of your life. And, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you've done for this institution, but for the entire region. You've been an important leader here, and thank you for everything that you've done. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. No, I'm only kidding. So Chancellor, I had all kinds of wonderful things to say about you, but I can't find them here. I'm looking, I can't find them. So Chancellor, it's so nice of you to come here. It's so nice to see so many of you. Jack, great speech. I've known Jack now for 3 years. I've been with him 20 times. I just heard Jack say more than I've ever heard him say in the other 20 times I've been with him. The Orange Innovation Center is just a wonderful place, and I brag about Jack and the Orange Innovation Center all the time. The Orange Innovation Center is an inspiration, such an inspiration to me that Governor Baker and I, with the approval of our friends in the legislature, actually created a program to replicate the Orange Innovation Center all around the state. We've given out 50 awards over the last 2 years, $3 million in total, to help establish collaborative workspaces. And the great thing about the Orange Innovation Center, for those of you who haven't been there, entrepreneurs, innovators, working together, working with each other, helping each other to achieve their goals while they're achieving their own, sometimes commiserating with each other about how tough it is to be a small business. How many people are working there now, Bree? 150? right? 150 people working at the Orange Innovation Center. It's just wonderful. So to everybody from the Orange Innovation Center, congratulations, and know that I continue to say that your ideas were mine. So it's working out well. The economic development bill that had that funding in it was adopted in 2016. For those of you who were here last year, raise your hand if you were here last year for my speech. Chief, here's the possible suspects. There's a reward. Let's see here. Yes, the reward will be realized in another lifetime. So you'll have that going for you too. What movie was that from? So I talked about it the last time. The spirit of bipartisanship that exists on Beacon Hill is still going strong. So I was a legislative aide during the mid-'80s, mid-'90s. I know you're all saying, Jay, you're too young to have worked back then. So. So I come back to the State House after 18 years. I got the chance to lead my hometown of Chelsea as a city manager for 14 of those years. It was an awesome experience. A lot of good things happening in my hometown. I'm fond of saying that I not only knew where all the bodies are buried, but I actually buried a few of them myself there. So it was great to be put in charge, and there's all kinds of development, all kinds of things going on. So Governor Baker says, Jay, I want you to be part of my cabinet. And so I get to go back to the State House, and I run into all my old friends, the state reps from when I was staff director in the House Majority Leader's office, and they all said, welcome back, but you're a member of the other team now. The honeymoon's going to last a day. And then it was going to last a week, and then a month, and then maybe 6 months. And we're 3.5 years in, and the honeymoon is still going on, going strong. We have Democrats and Republicans who have figured it out here in Massachusetts, how to work it out. I can't say that it works everywhere else in the country, or I can't pick out particular places like Washington. I can't talk about things like that, but it's working here in Massachusetts. And a democratically controlled legislature in a bipartisan spirit has given the Republican governor $1 billion economic development bill, so I can go around and replicate the Orange Innovation Center and other places. So most of the time when I walk into town, people see a really, really big dollar sign, because I usually come loaded with cash. So much so that the governor says to me, Jay, everywhere I go, I hear great things about you. Claire, I swear he said that to me. And so I respond back to him, Governor, if you give me another $100 million to give out in grant money, you'll hear even better things about me. But that's what I have, and it's because of Representative Mark and Stan Rosenberg and others that have reached across the aisle to us and said, we're going to put aside the bad politics, and instead we're going to work on good public policy. So an economic development bill adopted, $1 billion put in play. More than 40% of our communities have received benefits over the last year and a half from that economic development bill. We're doing things like infrastructure to support economic development activities. We're creating innovation centers and collaborative workspaces around the state. We're funding communities. Mayor Martin and I were talking about this earlier, funding communities to help establish new industrial parks and business parks. We've increased our support for market rate housing in gateway cities, and that market rate housing has gone from a program that funded 60 units before the economic development bill to over 1,000 units now, so it's really taking off. Workforce development with the community colleges, vocational schools, and others, good things happening. So the spirit of bipartisanship is working for all of us. So emboldened are we by the relationship we have with the legislature. The governor actually filed a second economic development bill. So this one a little bit more modest, $600 million, and another example of how the democratically controlled legislature, in an election year I might add, is working with us, that not 3 weeks after the governor filed the bill, the legislature, Joe Wagner from Chicopee, Eric Lesser, the Senate chair and the House chair of Economic Development held a joint hearing on our economic development bill, less than 3 weeks. So there's really good things happening at the State House, and that collaborative approach means that we're able to do more and more to promote the economy of Massachusetts. Yesterday, members of the House adopted our Mass Life Sciences 2.0 bill. So Massachusetts is #1 in the country, not #1 in the world on life sciences. We're the #1 innovation state in the country. Our innovation and entrepreneurship rivals anyone around the world. And to advance that further, and I mean further in terms of time, but further in terms of distance, the governor has filed a $500,000 life sciences bill. The legislature adopted it, the House adopted it yesterday. It's off to the Senate. So there's lots of things that are going on to be hopeful for. That life sciences bill and the economic development bill are meant to help us continue to work with businesses from Massachusetts, but also from out of Massachusetts and even out of country to locate here in Massachusetts. And you know what happens when a business calls me? I sell them something. And what I sell them is all of you. And I'm not meaning that as a joke, which obviously was the case because none of you laughed. Rich, can you come up and tell that one? That you might punch it a little different there, right? But what we sell here is talent, right? Nearly 50% of our residents in Massachusetts have a bachelor's degree, the highest rate in the country. Greenfield is helping with that, giving people great education, and then they go off in the workplace or go on and get a 4-year degree. Certainly, we talk about UMass Amherst all the time in the entire UMass system and all the other colleges and universities that we're blessed to have here in Massachusetts. We sell talent. We sell innovation. So when GE, for example, was looking for their corporate headquarters, they looked all around the country. In fact, they looked in other places as well. And they said, we can't imagine growing in the 21st century by being any other place than in Massachusetts. And so it's been really rewarding to be part of administration with Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito, working with our friends in the legislature to help bring more and more business here to Massachusetts. People ask me all the time, Jay, what's your greatest success been over the last 3.5 years? And they expect me to talk about that GE example because that was a real feather in our cap. It really, GE coming to Massachusetts just opened up. It was like the best marketing plan we've ever had. It said to everybody else in the world, hey, something's happening in Massachusetts, we need to look at it. And so now Amazon, right, is looking at Massachusetts, for its North American headquarters. And so people say, you know, Jay, what's been the greatest accomplishment over the 3.5 years? And I don't bring up a business win that we've had. When I sat down with Governor Baker before we both took office, I said to him, Governor, what is it that you want to accomplish after 4 years out of my secretariat? And he said, Jay, currently there are 1,550 homeless families in hotels and motels around the Commonwealth. We have to end that practice. And so we had 1,550 hotels and motels, 1,550 families, 49 hotels and motels, more than 3,000 kids, average stay 7 months in a hotel room, no kitchens, no play areas, no friends, none of the sports teams or the connections that they had to school. And the governor said, we need to do something about that. And so we're 3.5 years later, 1,550 families is now 40. 49 hotels down to 1. And we did it by making sure that every one of those families and every family that has subsequently showed up has a more sensitive, humane shelter that they go into, which is usually an apartment in the neighborhood that they were from, or better yet, permanent housing that Representative Mark and his colleagues in the legislature have provided us. So it's a really good story about us here in Massachusetts. You know that Massachusetts is the only state in the country that has a requirement to house homeless families. The only state in the country. I'm shocked at that. You know, we take it for granted that these are the things that you're supposed to do when you're in an enlightened society, and yet we're the only state in the country that has that. And as the only state in the country, we're meeting the challenge by providing for the needs of families and individuals who are homeless and across so many other areas. We, legislature this session just adopted a $1.2 billion affordable housing plan that'll allow us to provide for those families and many more who need affordability. We're working on zoning reforms. There's a major environmental bill that has the likelihood of going through. So messages, things are working on Beacon Hill. So how's it all relate to all of you out here. That was all in my notes. I'm sure we're doing great things. No, I know this stuff. So one of the things that the governor was most frustrated. So I've been with the governor for 3.5 years. Those of you who were here last time, you remember, I'm a Democrat in a Republican administration. I always pictured myself as being in this position. I never pictured myself being in this position in a Republican administration. And it's been terrific. I learned something very important. What I learned is all those things that I thought I knew about the other side of the aisle, they're all false. Paul, I have yet to meet a Republican representative who breathes fire. I always thought that was the case, right? But I've yet to meet one of them. Oh, Paul's giving me names. Okay. What I've learned from this experience about being a Democrat in a Republican administration is that, at least here in Massachusetts, Republicans and Democrats, we share 95% of the same values, and we fight over the last 5%. And it's really had a profound influence on my life. It's changed the way that I have relationships. I don't worry about that last 5% anymore. And so it's the 95% I care about. Now, I know that's only about Massachusetts. Who remembers Peter Blute? He was a congressman from Central Mass. Some of you remember John Adams, John, right? Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I heard Peter Blute speaking once. So Peter was Republican from Central Mass. He was the only Republican in the Massachusetts delegation. And he used to tell a story that when he'd be leaving Logan Airport to go to Washington, he'd hear whispers, "Goodbye, you lousy Republican." And then when he'd get to Washington, he'd hear whispers, "Oh, here comes that liberal from Massachusetts." And it really puts in perspective, that last 5%. So Republicans and Democrats, I've had the opportunity to work in this administration now, and I've learned so much from the governor, and so excited about those things that are happening. So the governor, this is where the governor got me. So it was 2 years before his election. I had a chance to sit with him. I don't call him Charlie anymore, but at that time I said, "Charlie, why would I be with you?" And we were talking about a number of things. He said, "Listen, you need to understand something about me. I'm not against spending money. I'm against wasting money. I'm not against spending money, I'm against wasting money." Wow, he had me there. He had me there. And in fact, that's what we've been doing. So here's an example of it. We came into office and broadband was a mess out here, right? More than 50 communities without broadband access. The bureaucracy was doing what bureaucracies do, just bureaucrating the thing to death. And we couldn't get people on the same page. We weren't sure if there was enough money to go around. People were pointing fingers, or worse, at each other. Today, of those 50, I think it's 53 communities, might have been 54 communities, like 44 of those communities have a path to getting broadband done. We've deployed $50 million that was available to support broadband to the last mile towns, and with the help of the legislature this session have come up with another $45 million. It's not perfect yet, but it's moving. It's moving on a path where things can happen. That's what I'm excited about working with the governor on. And so, like my homelessness example, like the broadband example. In fact, I remember John. We were together. What was the restaurant that we were at? At the Yankee Candle. I went in to give my "Hi everyone, I'm Jay Ash" speech, and there were selectmen that just wanted to hit me over the head and were throwing like knives and forks at me about broadband, but yeah, they love me. Yeah, exactly. Because I have $50 million. That's why they love me. So anyway, what I've learned from the governor is that any big problem that you face, compartmentalize. People ask me, how did you get from 49 hotels to one hotel in homeless families? And the answer is, we went one hotel at a time. Lots of people look at these big things and they get consumed by, "Oh my God, the problem is so big, how are we going to deal with it?" One hotel at a time. We didn't leave this hotel until we got every single family appropriately placed, and then we moved on to the second hotel. And our broadband, what we've been doing is we haven't been looking at broadband globally. What we did is we said the bureaucracy doesn't know as much as the communities know, and so let's figure out a plan that works for the community. See, the governor and I, same size, I talk about this all the time. One size does not fit all, ladies and gentlemen. I buy clothing, one size fits all, and I usually wear it once and then give it away to somebody else that'll fit because it doesn't fit me. Well, our broadband strategy was exactly that, one size fits all. And so we've broken it down, compartmentalized, and gone town by town with the help of a restructured Mass Tech Collaborative and Carolyn Kirk from my office and Lieutenant Governor and the Governor presiding over this. And so we're excited about where we are. We're not satisfied. You know, we have a lot more to do, but we're not satisfied. So that's working for us. In my notes, it says that something like 12 towns out here have become opportunity zones. So the federal government, part of the Tax Reform Act of 2017, has adopted something called opportunity zones. In an opportunity zone, which has to be a low-income census tract that the governor nominates to the federal government, in an opportunity zone, an opportunity fund can invest in job creation, business development, and real estate development. And so working with mayors like Mayor Martin, we went around the state, talked to cities and towns that were eligible, and we have been able to propose a full allotment of 138 across the entire state, 12 of them in Franklin County, and we're excited about the possibilities. We're waiting for the federal government to finish off that program so that we can then unleash the power of the investment that can happen there afterwards. So there are good things like that. We're investing in, we went by project after project. MJ brought me a frap today. It was awesome. I had a frap for what amounted to be breakfast. It was a $10 million frap. Because that's how much the parking garage that we were at cost the state to support, but it's really marvelous to see what's happening. So as I drive around here, I'm out here an awful lot. I was in Charlemont a couple weeks ago and joking with John about how good Berkshire East looks. As I'm driving around, I'm seeing so many good things that are going on, and I'm taking a lot from all of you. I thank you all for the time that you expend. Linda, you're awesome. I mean, I'm in love. Don't tell my wife this, but I'm in love. I'm in love with this lady next to me. She's just awesome. I've learned so much from her, and I'm happy that you all take your time to talk to me, to talk to Julie from Mass Development, to talk to other representatives from our state government, because we're learning from you, and we're also hopefully returning back to you dollars and program support so you can do more and more. So, with that, I want to thank you all for listening to me. I have been told that I may get driven back to my car and get my jacket, so I'm hopeful of that. Look forward to being out here more with you and celebrating everything that makes this part of the Commonwealth a special part of the Commonwealth that ties into a larger Commonwealth that really has the eye of everybody in the country and the world. So thanks, everyone. Am I answering questions?